Ring, 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 ring. What? Come again? Wait, you're breaking. What? Sam Moore is on the line. Sam Moore, the Sam Moore official. Hello. How are you?
How you doing, Mike? I'm good. How are you?
It's good to see you. I'll hang up my
Good to see
brick
you.
phone now. Ah, did you ever have a brick phone? Probably not. You're too young.
Um, I think
You probably
so.
started out with an iPhone because you're like
No,
20.
my first phone was an Ericsson, actually. One of those
Oh,
old
okay.
Ericsson phones. Yeah, with the big OK
Okay.
button in the middle.
Yes. Okay.
Hmm.
How about did you remember a thing called T9, which you had to press the button like 3 times to get like a B, and then you press this button like 4 times to get a capital C or whatever?
Yep, I had
Gosh,
a
those were the
Nokia.
days.
Thir Yeah, it was a Nokia 3310. I think I had that. Required that.
Mm-hmm.
It was one of
Mm-hmm.
the second phone I had. So
Mm-hmm.
old school.
Oh, baby. I know. Well, Samuel Moore, the great, a friend of mine. Every single one of these episodes is someone that I know personally. That's what I set out to do, to prove that I don't want to just interview rich and famous people. I want to interview people that I know, and just to prove that everyone's got a story, no matter who you are, and a story to share, a story that's going to be encouraging to somebody. So I really appreciate you being on and tackling a moment from your life. And Sam, gosh, I'm remembering the first day I met you at church, and
Hmm.
I was like, who's this guy with tattooed knuckles? Because that's not
Hmm.
often something you see at church. So I was instantly intrigued. And then you spoke, and I was more intrigued because I was like, okay, he's didn't grow up here. So where did you grow up?
I grew up in a small town called Edgware in North London.
Very nice, very nice. Just a wee chap.
Yeah. Yeah, moved to the States when I was 27, so 8 years ago.
Okay, very
Mhm.
cool. How is that possible when you're only 20? You look 20.
Good genes, I guess.
The baby
Who
face,
knows?
the baby
Yeah.
face
If you
with
wait
the
until I
beard.
shave this off, I'd look 12.
Oh my gosh. Well, Sam, I really appreciate you being on. I want to know, I mean, inquiring minds want to know what what things about England, jolly old England, would you, if you had your way, would you bring across the pond and integrate into American culture? Whether it's a food, whether it's a way of talking, whether it's a hobby, whether it's the fact that we call it soccer and that's blasphemy. What are some
It
things
is.
that, whether we drive on the wrong side of the road?
You know what? All of that I've got accustomed to. I really
Uh-huh.
have. However, public transport is the thing I miss the most.
Okay.
So I would bring the UK's public transport over in a heartbeat. Buses
Interesting.
run every 8 minutes, trains run every 2 to 3 minutes.
Uh-huh.
It's just very, very reliable, apart from when it snows.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's pretty much the first thing I would bring over.
Yeah. And how do you feel about my choice of shirt?
It's beautiful, absolutely beautiful. I want to rip it off your back
And wear it yourself?
and just hang
Yeah.
it on my wall.
Uh-huh. And just stare at it. For those of you just
Yeah.
listening and not watching, the wife and I did go to London in, I believe, 2017, and I got myself a nice little gray sweater that says London on the front, which I am rocking very proudly right now.
Marvelous.
Marvelous. I brought it,
Hmm.
I think I just got it from some random street vendor or one of those souvenir shops, which are on every corner in
Yeah.
London. But that's it, just public transport. You wouldn't bring over any food item. fish and chips,
I mean, I can make it. I can make it at home.
pubs.
So
What about pubs
I
compared to
would bring
the
pubs over.
bars?
I would
You
bring
would.
pubs. However, I'm starting to find some similar pubs
They're passable. They're
here.
passable.
They are, yeah. So I mean,
Okay.
I'm not a big alcoholic beverage taker anyway. So,
Sure.
but the atmosphere, I'd probably more rather
Mm-hmm.
bring the atmosphere and the environment of a pub
Of
rather than
course.
the pub itself.
Of course. Of course.
Yeah,
And what is that atmosphere? Capture it for me. What is it that makes it what it is? The
that's a difficult one.
the camaraderie, the jovial conversations, the noise, the
I think it's
what do you
everything because I am a city boy. I grew up in, just outside the city and worked in the city for 8, 9, 10 years before
yeah.
I moved to America. So just having that accessibility, they
Mm-hmm.
are on almost every street corner. So I think it's just
Yeah.
kind of having that and the noise and
Mm-hmm.
just being able to go to a pub after a long day's work.
Mm-hmm.
Just walk out your restaurant or your building, your office, and there's a pub right there.
Mm-hmm.
So it's nice and relaxing and comforting.
Mm-hmm. How often are there, I'm going to use football because I want to be respectful. How often are there football games on a telly in a pub in London? Like, is it 100% of the time? Is it 90% of the time?
Well, the English Football League actually only plays generally once or twice a week, depending on the week and what kind of
Okay.
football it is.
Okay.
So every weekend, absolutely.
Hmm.
Yeah. And then the rest of the time it's probably just news like you get over here. Yeah. Boring news.
Yeah, because in the States, we'll show college basketball, college football, professional football, college baseball, professional baseball, women's volleyball. I mean, there's so many sports here in America that are celebrated. Gosh, and it's in England, it's far and above
Hmm.
football slash soccer. What would be a close second or third as far as sports that people celebrate or play growing up?
Rugby is a big one.
Okay.
A lot of people play golf, even though we have terrible weather year round, raining probably about 300 days a year. Um, tennis is a big one too.
Okay.
Cricket.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't know
Have
what
you
cricket
played?
is,
Have
Google.
you played? I know what it is. Have you played it much?
I played it in school.
So, like in gym class, you would play cricket,
In
or
well, yeah, and played it kind of on the streets in our neighborhood.
okay.
But also played it representing my school as well.
Heck yeah.
So yeah.
There you go. Cricket. I
Hmm.
think the biggest country for cricket is probably India. Am I right?
Hmm. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have the Indian Super League, I believe it is,
Okay.
and just famous cricketers from all over the world play in this league for about 3 or 4 months at a time.
It's so
Too hot,
interesting.
too hot to
Yeah.
play in the summer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, so you come over across the pond because you met a little cutie named Bethany,
I sure did.
and you come across the pond chasing a woman. No, I'm kidding.
Hmm.
Well, kind of.
Kind of, yeah.
And you land in California. Is that right?
Yes, that is
Yeah.
correct. Yep.
And then so what were you all up to in California until you moved to North Carolina?
Working really.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of. We moved. I was there for 4 years, and we moved at least twice every year.
Wow.
From different apartments to
Mm-hmm.
my in-laws, and then back to an apartment again, or a small
Mm-hmm.
house and that kind of stuff. Working. Once I got my working visa, we just worked, saved up some money.
Mm-hmm.
Knew a move was coming, but we didn't know when or where. Um, and just saved and saved, and Huntersville came calling.
Mm-hmm. Now, I'm gonna show that I'm a dum-dum when it comes to this, but are you, or do you have plans to be an American citizen?
So yeah, so I do have plans to do it.
Okay,
I would then have dual citizenship,
gotcha.
um, and then our daughter would have it as well.
Okay,
Um, but it's a process. It's about a 9-month process from application to receiving your citizenship.
yeah.
So it's just doing it, getting it done,
Is it
and
something that you've
conquering.
wanted to do and you've just kind of put it off, or is it something that you've more recently said, all right, it's time?
I think I just put it off, to be honest with you.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, just I'm I'm so proudly English that I'm just like I don't want to be American, but it's definitely it makes life easier if we stay here for forever.
Uh-huh.
We don't have to prove our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas if I'm just on a green card, that's what we have to do.
Mm-hmm. Gotcha. Is there any chance in the world that you all will relocate to England at some point?
It's a
Has it ever come up?
possibility. Yeah, it's always in conversation because that's where I met my wife. So
Mm-hmm.
it's always been in a conversation, but whether actually
Mm-hmm.
doing it or not is a different story. I don't see it anytime soon.
Right. Yeah. You don't want Hazel growing up in jolly old London?
I mean, I wouldn't mind it. It would bring back some childhood memories. But we're comfortable here. We're good here. Yeah.
Got you, got you, got you. All right. Well, we need to dive into your moment. That's what this podcast is called. It is called The Moments That Made Us. And we look at significant things or decisions or things that happened to you or things that you actively did that really changed the course of your life in a big way, in a small way, whatever. It's your choice what you'd like to talk about. So tell me about, first of all, about what age were you when this moment happened?
I was roughly about 16 or 17.
16 or 17. And
Hmm.
so in England, that would have been grade 11?
That that would have you. I just left high school and actually just started college at that point.
At 16.
Hmm. Well,
Wow.
17. So yeah, so
Okay,
17.
17.
Yeah, yeah.
Gotcha, gotcha. Okay. Um, all right, well, take us through it. And let's just start with what your life was like in like the short time frame leading up to the moment. What was going on? What were you getting into? Were you still living at home? What was your family situation like? Anything you want to do to capture what Sam's life was like as this moment was about to happen?
Yeah, so we've spoken about football a little bit, and I was playing football growing up throughout my whole childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And I was playing at this point probably three, four, 5 times a week,
Mm-hmm.
training, matches, games,
Mm-hmm.
and living at home with my mum, single mum, raising 3 kids. I'm the youngest, so
Mm-hmm.
I was the
Me too.
last one. Yeah, I was the last one out of the house.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it was just school,
Mm-hmm.
finishing off high school. We have a like when we graduate, we have what we call the GCSEs,
Mm-hmm.
which is basically the equivalent of GEDs out here, and I just finished
Okay.
those.
Okay.
Um, and then I just decided to go to college and wanted
Mm-hmm.
to focus on football and college and stuff like that. So that's
Mm-hmm.
basically what I was doing.
And what was your life like? Were you getting into trouble? Were you a pretty good kid? Good relationship with mom at the time?
Great
What?
relationship with mom.
Okay.
I was a mischievous little kid.
Okay.
I would stay out longer than I was asked to. I would
Uh-huh.
always be over the park, um, playing football,
Uh-huh.
coming home after dark and stuff like that. So, yeah, mischievous, but also respectful in the presence of my parent, of my mum,
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
any anyone that I looked up to, whether it be coaches or uncles and stuff like that. But it was always when I was around them. If I was
Mm-hmm.
out and about and I got a phone call saying come home, I would always say I'll be home soon. And 2-3
Uh,
hours went by. So I always done it away from face to face,
uh-huh.
because I knew that my mum would just give me a stare and I would have to have the walk of shame with your head down to the bedroom and not come out for the rest of the night. So
So you had a healthy fear of mom,
yes,
a healthy
yes,
fear.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you didn't want to push her buttons.
Mm-mm.
Yeah, got you.
Nope.
All right, well let's get into this moment. You mentioned it before we hit record, and I said, "All right, stop right there," because I wanted to hear it firsthand for the first time. So
Yeah.
let's have it. What's going
All
on?
right. So I finished high school, got my GCSEs, and I at the time was playing for a club soccer football team, um, and we were doing really well. We kind of finished second or third in the league. Um, Kind of got to some semi-finals and finals of cups over the course of the previous couple of years.
Mm-hmm.
And my coach at the time said, "Hey, I want to take 9 boys to have trials at this professional football academy."
Mm-hmm.
And I was selected as one of those nine boys. And we basically went. I was fortunate enough to get picked,
Mm-hmm.
but along with signing this academy contract, so to speak, you also had to attend a college,
Mm-hmm.
and the college was well known for its sports science and physical sports, and that kind of degrees and um, graduating programs.
Mm-hmm.
So we decided to go there and attend this football academy at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
This this college was probably about an hour and a half away. I had to get 2 buses and a train, or 2 trains and a bus to get there.
Okay.
If I couldn't get a ride.
Okay.
Um, so got signed, joined the college, and after about 3 or 4 months, I just decided it wasn't for me. Um,
Really? Now, were
I
you
loved the
were you paying to attend, or was it free?
So
What's
the
the deal
college was
there?
free. The college was free, but we had to pay into the football academy.
Okay.
You basically paid a yearly fee slash
Mm-hmm.
all your uniform, all your training gear, that kind of stuff. Um,
And
so yeah,
mom was paying all that for you?
as a single mum working 3 jobs at the time, she
Wow.
was she was she was working hard to pay for
Mm-hmm.
that academy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, yeah, it came to about kind of just after Christmas break, late January, and I just turned to my mum one day and said, I don't want to go back. And she looked at me and said, "So you're giving up on your dream?" And I didn't even think about it at all. And I just said, "I don't want to go back." She said, "Okay, go find yourself a job."
Wow.
And that was it. And 2 weeks later, I was on a bus for an interview at a retail store, which was half an hour away from my house.
Mm-hmm.
That was the moment where I made probably the biggest decision of my life up
Mm-hmm.
at 17 years old,
Mm-hmm.
um, trying to decide what I wanted to be when I grow up and what I wanted to do in that moment. And
Mm-hmm.
and it was all because of the education side of things, not because of the football side of things.
Really? But there wasn't
Mhm.
enough with the football side of things to overpower your reservations about the academic side of things. That just overpowered your love for the sport, and you said, "I'm tapping out." Was it
Yeah,
because you were struggling academically? Was it just hard for you? Or what was it that made you, or what was it that allowed you to allow the academics to overpower your love for football and actually tap out? Like, what was it about the academic side?
I just didn't like sitting in a classroom for multiple hours in a day,
Mm-hmm.
staring at either a whiteboard or, you know, a teacher telling us that we had to learn about this stuff. It's
Mm-hmm.
not something that the course that I took wasn't something that I was interested in. I was interested in the football side and the training and the games.
Yeah.
And I just did not want to be sitting in the classroom when I knew I could have been playing football.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
So if you could have played football 13 hours a day, every day of the week, you would have.
100%.
Oh my gosh.
Yep.
That's a
Yep.
lot of football.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. I was training, you know, doing things in my backyard, kicking the ball
Mm-hmm.
around, learning tricks, you know, everything that a young athlete, you know, would
Mm-hmm.
do to gain
Mm-hmm.
a momentum or an advantage over their competitors in their position.
Sure. Sure. Hmm.
Yeah.
So when you think about the 9 boys that went, did anybody else drop out?
There were a couple that did a little bit after I did,
Mm-hmm.
but then a couple of 4 or 5 of the boys actually saw the course through,
Mm-hmm.
but unfortunately didn't get any professional contracts from it.
Mm.
So then they had to um, go find work, you know, 2 years after I did, because it was a 3-year course.
Right.
So
Huh. So was that it for college for you? What,
that was it.
like, have you,
4 months.
and you haven't touched a college class since, or have you?
Not a single class. I think I stepped into a an elementary school about a month ago,
Uh-huh.
for my daughter's side of it,
Yeah.
but that was the first time I've been in the classroom since I left college.
Yeah. Do you think, just by your own experience, do you think it's going to be uh maybe a little less than typical once your daughter gets old enough to start thinking about college? Do you think you'll be more generous with her if she wants to go a non-college direction? I don't even know what college is going to look like when she's there in 10 years, 12 years. It could all be 100% online. It could be everything is a la carte, just take classes where you want. I don't know everything is changing so fast these days. But do you feel that you'll be more, I don't know, it seems like American parents are so dead set on, well, where you're going to go to college. Like, do you think you'll be more generous with her and let her kind of feel out her path
Yeah, I think absolutely. My mom was
based
that
on
way
your
with
own
me.
experience? Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, and college is the English college is more like a community college in America. And then we have university. So you go to college, then you go to university.
Okay.
Um, Whereas out here, you generally call college what we call university.
Got it.
So if somebody goes to a very well-known college out here and is like you know, is a D1 athlete,
Mm-hmm.
you know, they're like the cherry on the top.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas college is a stepping stone to get to university, but there's not really a huge college or university athletic program in the
Mm-hmm.
UK. You
Oh,
normally play
wow.
for club or county, or professionally if you're that
Mm-hmm.
good.
Gotcha. Well, what do you think about this? Because I think you would have a very interesting perspective on this. There's a guy I like to listen to, a very smart dude named Jordan Peterson. Jordan Peterson, uh, in one of his lectures I was listening to, he was saying that his strong recommendation is for people to be much more hold the whole idea of college and university much more loosely. But if you're not going to pursue a higher education, you have to take on something at that stage in your life, post high school, that is equally as difficult.
Hmm.
So it's not that you graduate and then you're just working at Subway 10 hours a week and living in your mom's basement. playing video games or just looking at TikTok or going out with your friends. You at that stage in your life, there has to be a counterpart that is equally as challenging for you to really start developing as a normal um, adult that's actually doing something to make society better
Right.
and not being a drag on society or on your family. What do you think about that?
I think that's personally, I think that's good advice. I would have loved to have taken a gap year. It's not a common phrase out here in America, but
Mm-hmm.
you basically you finish high school and you know you're 17, 18, depending on when your birthday is,
Mm-hmm.
and you just go travel. A
Mm-hmm.
lot of people would do that either between high school and college, or college and university, most
Mm-hmm.
likely.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and you just go spend 6 months traveling Asia or South America, and you know become worldly, and
Mm-hmm.
actually have that cultural experience rather than go and get a full-time job. I
Mm-hmm.
was never in a financial position to do that,
Mm-hmm.
unfortunately. However,
Mm-hmm.
a lot of my friends did, and I was so envious
Mm-hmm.
when they came back, you know, with a tan and glowing and had experienced these amazing things. So
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with challenging yourself if you're not going to do the college route.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So, in your estimation, from your professional opinion, Sam Moore, from the book of Sam Moore, is is street smarts, like the things you're learning on your own outside of a classroom, equally as important to develop you as a person as what you learn inside a classroom? Like, is it, or is it even more important to develop as a person? Your opinion.
If I was living in England still or London still, I would
Uh-huh.
say street smart is slightly more important than intelligence. Um, I think the culture kind of brings it out of you.
Uh-huh.
The personality of English people, the dry sense of humor, just the camaraderie that you get. I know you get it over here too, but it's completely different.
Yeah.
There's different words used for different things to describe things, and you know, there's lots of adult language, shall we put it. So having that,
Coarse sailor language.
yeah,
Yeah.
yes. So having that, or hearing that all the time over
Yeah.
there,
Yeah.
back home, it does open you up to a little bit more. Um, I don't want to say common people, but more worldly people, because they
More
are
like blue
experiencing,
collar. Blue collar.
yeah, blue collar,
Yeah.
and it's a multinational city as well, London. So
Yeah.
you are exposed to more ethnicities than you would be in most cities in America.
Yeah. Awesome. So, in hindsight, as we're coming in for a landing here, in hindsight, Sam, you are looking back now at your 17-year-old self. Would you make the same decision? Would you have stuck it out a little longer? Would you have bailed out sooner? Would you do it exactly as it happened? Because hindsight's always 2020. You can see
It sure
everything
is.
clearly now. Would you go back and tell 17-year-old Sam to do it exactly as he did, stick it out longer, or not even go at all? What would you tell 17-year-old Sam?
I feel like there's kind of two parts to this. I feel like
Mm-hmm.
I would say, no, you made the right decision because I am who I am and where I am and who I'm married to, and I
Sure,
have my daughter
sure,
now. So
sure,
there's that part. But if I took that out of the equation,
sure.
I was knocking on the door for a starting position in the academy
Mm-hmm.
and doing really well.
Mm-hmm.
And I would probably go back and say, stick it out.
Mm.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
I probably would. Because it was just such a big decision, but also a spontaneous decision for me that
Gotcha.
I, if I'd thought about it too much, I would have talked myself out of doing it.
Was there anyone that did try to talk you out of it? Like your coach, your teammate, your brother? Was there anyone that said, dude, stick it out? Or was everyone just like, whatever?
A couple of people, a couple of my former teammates who we all went together,
Uh-huh.
they did. They kind of asked me, what was happening, and just say,
Uh-huh.
hey, just one more, just finish the season, just finish the school year, the
Yeah.
academic year. And I said, I can't do it. But they weren't very persuasive. They just asked me to maybe once or twice in casual conversation, and
Uh,
I just said I can't, and there was no pushback. Okay, you want to do what you want to do, and that was it.
yeah.
So
How
that was
about
my bad.
your brother and your sister?
Um, my sister was out of the house, um, so yeah, just not really. Um, no real persuasion.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't from my mom, wasn't from my sister. Um, so yeah, it just kind of got to a point where I'm like, all right, well, if no one's pressuring me to do it, I'm not going to do it.
Wow.
That
So
was
you
it.
didn't feel like, oh, if I do this, people are gonna come down on me for being a quitter or not sticking something out, or I'm gonna let someone down. Like none of that was going on for you.
Nope, nope,
Gotcha.
absolutely none. Yep,
Yeah, because that's real for a lot of people, for
yeah,
sure. Hmm.
yeah. There was no mounting pressure of I had to complete the course because my mom was paying at least for the year for
Right.
me to be there, and she
Right.
just said if you don't want to do it, you don't want to do it. And
Yeah.
my mom's very laid back and still is, so I think she would still say the same if I
Yeah.
told her something like that now.
Got you.
Yep.
Sam, we're about out of time, but I want to know, I mean, just so we can set the record straight, I know very little about Premier League football, but I need you to set the record straight for anyone listening that might think otherwise,
hmm
who the greatest team really is. Lay it out right now.
It's the one and only Arsenal, the Gunners, the mighty Reds. London is red. It always will be. And your
Yes.
your sweatshirt proves it too. You did not know you were representing Arsenal today, did
No,
you?
I did not.
No. Well, there you go.
I
I'll
thought
have to
I was
buy you a shirt.
representing, yes, I thought I was representing Chelsea. I don't even know any other names other than those two. I'm kidding. I know nothing. Oh, there is a big match coming to Charlotte this summer in July. Did you see that?
I did not.
I'll
No.
text you later.
Yes, please.
I just saw that. And there's an outdoor um like the Carolina Hurricanes are playing an outdoor game next season, which is pretty awesome. I don't know how they're going to pull that
Yeah.
off in North Carolina because it really never snows here, but we'll see. Sam, this has been great. Really interesting to hear a deep dive into your life and you as a 17-year-old, just a wee chap back
hmm
in London town. I like to think sometimes that I've got a pretty decent uh, British accent, but then I'm not so sure. But I think I've got something, but you're free to tell me if it's trash, if it's rubbish, if it's horrible. What you think, huh?
Well, you sound like you're trying to fit in with Mary Poppins, so I think it's I think I'm gonna say it's rubbish, to be honest with
Holy moly.
you.
Mary Poppins. Top of the morning to you, Mary Poppins. Oh my goodness. All right.
Classic.
Well, I appreciate getting trashed by Sam at the end for
Oh,
my terrible British accent. I feel like I do better than most people, though. So
some,
I'll just pat myself on the back.
some, just some. That's it. That's it.
I could be an extra on Lord of the Rings.
Yeah, probably if you didn't have to speak, you'll be fine.
Golly. Okay, on that note, Sam, I'm cutting you
Mike,
loose.
thank you.
Hey, thanks for being on, man. I'll talk to you soon.
Absolutely. All right, take care.
All right, later.
Bye.